Valor, they say, is stability, not of legs and arms, but of courage and the soul. Corporal Clifford Wooldridge must have taken this quote by Michel de Montaigne too seriously and too literally. Moments after he and his four-man squad routed 15 enemy troops and were preparing to secure the area, he heard something. Voices. And they were close. Wooldridge was certain they were hostiles, Taliban prepping a counterattack, and that the voices were coming from behind a nearby wall. He told his men to hold tight, gripped his weapon, and charged fearlessly around the side of the wall. He came face to face with four heavily equipped Taliban fighters carrying AK-47s, RPGs, and a Soviet-built PKM 7.62 caliber heavy machine gun, and they were all standing within 10 feet of him. With just his M249 squad automatic weapon that is almost about to empty, the odds are significantly against him. His situation right now is just like that of Sergeant Alvin York on October 8, 1918, during the Meuse-Argonne offensive. Only that this time, he's not up against demoralized and battle-worn Germans, but with battle-hardened, well-trained, unquestionably devoted warriors who live in brutal mountain conditions and descend from men that have successfully fought off everyone from Cyrus the Great to Alexander the Great to Queen Victoria to the entirety of the Soviet Union. At this point, it seems his day couldn't have been any worse. Speaking of his day, June 18, 2010 couldn't have started any more miserably for Corporal Clifford Wooldridge of the 3rd Battalion, 7th Marines. Not 5 minutes after leaving the secure coalition-held perimeter and entering enemy territory, his Humvee was blown out from under him by a Taliban IED. He carefully reloaded his squad into another vehicle, which was also subsequently blown up by another IED. Now, even though he was leading a convoy of 4 vehicles through a particularly Taliban-infested valley, where enemy ambushes were very common, Corporal Wooldridge was just relieved he hadn't lost any members of his team. Nestled in the heart of Helmand Province, Afghanistan, Musa Qala's fertile grounds were ideal for poppy cultivation. Given the Taliban's reliance on illegal heroin and opium sales for revenue, the prospect of American and Afghan soldiers disrupting their lucrative trade didn't sit well with the insurgents. The Marines' mission was clear: engage with the townspeople, evaluate the situation, and convince local leaders to align with the Afghan government, forsaking aid to the Taliban. Upon reaching the valley, they encountered a deserted town, its residents wisely fleeing in anticipation of the impending chaos. The 125-strong detachment of the 3rd Battalion's 7th Marines faced off against 250 battle-hardened Taliban fighters, strategically positioned in mountain bunkers, primed for ambush, with reinforcements pouring in from across the Pakistani border. As the Marine offensive entered its 2nd week, Corporal Wooldridge took charge of a 4-vehicle mounted patrol, tasked with circling around to capture a pivotal hill crucial for regional control. Naturally, the Taliban had no intention of relinquishing it. They unleashed a barrage of fire from mountain positions and the abandoned village, bombarding the Marine convoy with rocket-propelled grenades and automatic weapons. In response, the Humvee turret gunners retaliated with a relentless hail of bullets from their 50 caliber machine guns. As the thunderous roar of gunfire echoed through the air, Wooldridge swiftly disembarked from his vehicle, seizing his M249 squad automatic weapon, SAW, and with resolute determination, instructed his fire team to hold their ground. What lay ahead was an audacious plan, a calculated risk that defied conventional wisdom. Understanding the predictable pattern of Taliban tactics, attack, exhaust RPG ammunition, then retreat into the mountains to await the opportune moment for the next ambush, Corporal Wooldridge discarded the notion of a defensive stance. Instead, he embraced a strategy that echoed madness to some, but was a proof to his unyielding courage. The logical response of returning fire and safeguarding his life seemed insufficient. He chose the extraordinary path of charging across an exposed field, unleashing a barrage of machine gun fire to flank and intercept the escaping enemy. In a display of remarkable valor, the 23-year-old corporal from Port Angeles, Washington, raced across the open terrain, bullets tearing through the air as his machine gun roared. Reaching the tree line, he delivered a lethal burst of 5.50 mm NATO rounds, swiftly assuming a prone position while laying down suppressing fire. Meanwhile, his fire team hastened across the field, converging at his side. With his four-man squad now strategically positioned behind the enemy flank, Wooldridge discerned a significant threat: an assembly of at least 15 enemy troops armed with heavy weapons and RPGs concealed in an abandoned village, poised to ambush Marine Humvees. Unwilling to tolerate such aggression, he rallied his team and embarked on a daring charge across open ground once more. The staccato rhythm of his machine gun reverberated as he unleashed devastation upon the unsuspecting Taliban. The audacity of his assault shattered the enemy weapons team, claiming the lives of 8 adversaries, including the RPG operator, and dispersing the remaining insurgents into the village. Yet as Wooldridge's team prepared to secure the area, he brought them to an abrupt halt, a moment pregnant with suspense and anticipation. He'd heard something. Voices. And they were close. Wooldridge was certain they were hostiles, Taliban prepping a counterattack. In a flash, Corporal Wooldridge quickly hoisted his saw, unleashed a relentless barrage by hammering down the trigger, and didn't let go until he'd exhausted every last round in their weapon. Regrettably, the rounds fired were not enough to neutralize all 4 enemy fighters. Wooldridge swiftly eliminated the first 3 adversaries in the blink of an eye. However, as he swung the weapon towards the 4th enemy soldier, the one wielding the PKM heavy machine gun, his magazine had run dry. Attempting to bluff the foe, he motioned for the man to drop his weapon, but the enemy remained skeptical. In response, the adversary raised his gun and unleashed a burst of gunfire, prompting Wooldridge to dive back behind the wall for cover as bullets tore through the surroundings. The challenge of reloading an M249 saw is no walk in the park. It involves securing and manually feeding a 100-round box of ammunition into the weapon. Wooldridge pressed his back against the wall, determined to reload his weapon. But when he noticed the barrel of the PKM slowly emerging around the side of the wall, he understood the urgency of acting swiftly. Without hesitation, Wooldridge dropped his gun, sprinted over, and seized the barrel of the Taliban's machine gun. Slamming the Taliban fighter against the wall, both men hit the ground while still gripping the weapon. A hand-to-hand, old-school combat ensued, with the Taliban warrior realizing he was outmatched. Determined not to go down alone, he took one hand off his machine gun and reached for the pin on one of the hand grenades strapped to the outside of Wooldridge's tactical vest. Seizing the moment, Wooldridge swiftly ripped the PKM out of the enemy's hands, ultimately beating the adversary to death with his own machine gun. When the rest of the Marines rounded the corner, they found Wooldridge standing amidst a pile of fallen enemy soldiers, the ambush thwarted, and the coast clear. In this intense battle, Corporal Clifford Wooldridge single-handedly eliminated 13 enemy troops, expertly flanked their position, and crucially shattered their fighting spirit. Despite the immediate danger, before returning to their platoon, Wooldridge led his team from one dead enemy fighter to another, meticulously stripping them of radios, cell phones, weapons, ammunition, and grenades to prevent the enemy from deploying them again. This strategic initiative showcased not only his combat prowess, but also his astute understanding of the enemy's capabilities and intentions. For his actions in the battle, in 2012, Clifford Wooldridge received the Navy Cross, the second highest award for valor available to Marines. In 2013, Wooldridge was meritoriously promoted to Staff Sergeant and was selected the Military Times Marine of the Year. Not only did he lead his team to victory, but he ambushed the ambush. Clifford Wooldridge left the Marines in 2016 and moved to South Carolina to be with family, relax, and reflect on his military career. He also receives deserved recognition from this channel. Clifford Wooldridge has become a celebrity among our viewers, who are military enthusiasts. Join us in paying your utmost respect to Sergeant Clifford Wooldridge and other service members and true national patrons we'll be discussing on this channel. Remember to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications to stay connected with the stories of honor and sacrifice.